Ahead with you on this Monday morning as we look back on the weekend that was across all of college basketball, not just the women's, but the men's action as well, as we do have the men's Final Four set. And it is time to talk hardwood thanks to our friends over at Georgia Pacific. We're going to dive in and highlight some key players from over the weekend that were a big part of why their teams were able to pick up victories and punch their respective tickets to the Final Four. And we'll start off locally right here with none other than the South Carolina women's team, as again they made it to their fourth straight Final Four. And when we talk about yesterday's game against Oregon State, one of the biggest key factors for South Carolina was none other than Ashlyn Watkins. 8 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, all in 27 minutes of action yesterday, taking on the Oregon State Beavers. And this is something that we've come to expect. Hell, her nickname is Ashlyn Swatkins for a reason. She is very good from a defensive standpoint and also puts in some really good offensive performances as well. But for me, the thing that really sticks out about what Ashlyn Watkins did yesterday is it was a follow-up to maybe what wasn't her best game against Indiana on Friday night. In the loss to the Hoosiers, she got just 4 points, 3 rebounds, and just 1 block in 19 minutes of action against Indiana. Also committed 3 personal fouls in that game. So it wasn't her best performance. She self-admitted it was not her best performance after the game. And as we've seen other times this season, I'll go back to the SEC tournament, a game that we've talked about a lot this morning is the game against Tennessee, where South Carolina eked out the last-second victory thanks to Camila Cardoso's, miracle three-pointer. Ashlyn Watkins did not have her best game in that contest. 6 points, 5 rebounds, only 1 block in that contest with 4 personal fouls. So got herself in foul trouble in that one. And the next game out against LSU in the championship game, she rebounded and had a much better performance. Now, again, the points and rebounds about the same, but the blocks, 5 blocks in that game against LSU, which again was a really key factor in South Carolina picking up the 7-point victory in that game. So again, when you talk about the difference between Friday night and Sunday for Ashlyn Watkins, proved to be a big benefactor. Again, those blocks turning into turnovers, obviously a big key factor in South Carolina picking up the win. So a great weekend, or a great Sunday performance overall for Ashlyn Watkins. And she's obviously going to be a huge factor for South Carolina if they're going to go on and win the national championship here over the course of the next 2 games. We'll transition over to the men's side of things as their Final Four is officially set, and one team that shouldn't shock anyone that they have punched their ticket is none other than the Purdue Boilermakers. After their win yesterday, taking down Tennessee in the Elite Eight. And, if I was ever to pick a great time to have a career-worthy performance, it would probably be pretty deep in the NCAA tournament, specifically in the Elite Eight, if I was in a position to help take my school to their first Final Four in 44 years. And that's exactly what Zach Edey did yesterday with his performance for the Boilermakers over the Volunteers. 40 points, a career high, 16 rebounds in 39 minutes of action. If you haven't watched Zach Edey a lot this season, he does not leave the court a whole lot. And these past 2 games against Tennessee and Gonzaga really never left the court, playing 39 minutes and 38 minutes respectively. And look, he's a big man, 7 foot tall, 300 pounds according to ESPN. Dude's an absolute monster, and he had the ability to take this game over against what we know is a very, very good Tennessee team. And that's what really sticks out to me about his performance. It's not that he went out there and played out of his mind, but he helped pick up where Purdue was lacking. Purdue is legitimately the best 3-point shooting team in the entire country. They went out there and were 3 of 15 from beyond the arc yesterday against Tennessee, which is their worst performance of the entire season. Meanwhile, Tennessee, another very good three-point shooting team, proceeded to make 11 of their three-point shots yesterday. So Zach Edey really put this team on his back yesterday, quite literally scored more than half the points that that Purdue had yesterday. And again, a game where their offense was not as effective as it usually is in the style that it likes to play by shooting those shots from beyond three. So Zach Edey, again, put the team on his back, put in an amazing performance, and has now got Purdue back to the Final Four for the first time in a very long time. And also you add to this the story of Purdue bouncing back from what they did a season ago. They've almost completed the Virginia comeback, where you get bounced by a 16 seed in the first round one tournament and then proceed to tear through the next tournament in pursuit of a national championship. And Purdue just 2 wins away from accomplishing that feat. This upcoming weekend out there in Phoenix, in the Final Four. And again, so much of it's going to depend on what Zach Edey is able to do. And the folks up there in West Lafayette, Indiana, are very thankful for him this morning, because he is the key reason why this team made it to the Final Four after their performance yesterday against LSU. And one more, sticking on the men's side of things, it's hard to quantify a Power 5 team as being a Cinderella, but North Carolina State is about as close as we've got to a Cinderella left in this thing, being a number 11 seed. We followed their journey, the remarkable journey of where they entered the ACC tournament, knowing they had to win every single game there and claim the championship to just make it to the NCAA tournament. And it's one thing to make a tournament like that and then get bounced in the first round or two, where we can all say, oh, that's a great story, and give them their standing ovation as they walk off the court. No. NC State had other ideas. This team has been on an absolute tear since having their backs up against the wall at the start of the ACC tournament. They took down Duke handily yesterday to punch their ticket to their first Final Four since 1987, and so much of that success that's come from them not only through this tournament, but this season has been on the back of our big man, DJ Burns, the South Carolina native himself from just up the road in Rock Hill, former Tennessee Volunteer that has transferred in and is such a huge part of what's made the Wolfpack so successful over these last couple weeks, in addition to DJ Horn as well. They like to call themselves the DJ Booth. But yesterday against Duke, 29 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in 29 minutes. And again, that's not a shocking performance by DJ Burns. He's been the team's leading scorer this entire season, or most of this entire season at least, but it's when he made those points that really sticks out to me, because he scored 21 of them in the second half to help North Carolina State have a surge of 55 points in the second half to pick up the win against Duke. And it's easy to think, most of those points must have come from shooting fouls at the end of the game. No, 3 of them did. He was 9 of 11 from the field in the second half yesterday. Like, really, really took the game over, and again is a huge reason why North Carolina State is now playing in the Final Four after looking like they were dead in the water and their season was going to come to an end in the early stages of the ACC tournament. They were tied with Louisville with a couple of minutes to go in that game. Had the miracle 3-point shot against UVA in the semis there. Incredible story. And again, DJ Burns, a big reason why they've gotten this far. And that is Talking Hardwood. Thanks to our friends over at Georgia Pacific, we will continue to highlight many more great players and their stat lines going through these next couple of weeks. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 of The Extra Point. Big story dropped this weekend, and I won't lie to you, I was a little bit disappointed. We'll dive into what that was and why coming up. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head along with you, Captain Dave producing on the other side of the glass on your April Fool's Monday here on The Game.